I think after all these things, we intend to hold the summit for all people in government, especially the different cities that have the same geography like our city, and tell them and share with them our experience, the lessons learned, our failures, as well as our successes. I think we call it the 72-hour window. The 72-hour window. 3 days before and 3 days after. I think that 72 hours, I think is the most crucial time in terms of preparation and response. I think we might have lapses in both, in the preparation as well as in the response. Our response must be quick. The 72-hour window again. I think all the lootings, all the things that happened, people became angry and all was within that 72 hours. The 3 days when they felt that there was no government. I think after all these things, when we feel that we're able to provide a roadmap, we're able to provide all the necessary works in terms of rebuilding, I think that's the best way we can do, is to share all the lessons that we have learned in this calamity. Yeah, people did not understand what a storm surge is. I think the better part for the Weather Bureau and even for the local government unit to explain it in the vernacular, because if we have warned them about possible tsunami, I think they would have understood. But our problem is a tsunami can only come from an earthquake. So that is the wrong choice of words. So we have to use another word, which is a storm surge. And I don't think any one of us have ever experienced a storm surge in our lifetime until November 8th. And I think people were prepared against the wind, but they were never prepared against the storm surge. And I think it's the storm surge that caused a lot of death. And what compounded the problem was the day before the super typhoon struck us, November 7. It was so sunny. It was so sunny. And when the government went around and told them that you need to evacuate, some of them were even laughing because it was just so sunny. And you wouldn't believe that a super typhoon was coming. The first legislation we passed under my watch as the Vice Mayor is the forced evacuation ordinance. When there is preeminent danger, the government will be able to enforce forced evacuation. But it was used for, as a politically, they thought it was forced eviction instead of forced evacuation. And they thought that we're doing this because we want to get rid of the settlers near the coastal area.
So a lot of people resisted the evacuation because
yes, because they thought once we evacuate them, they will not be allowed to return to their homes. A lot of men, a lot of husbands, a lot of fathers died only because they stayed in their homes to protect their belongings while they send their wives and children to the evacuation centers. Because the night before, I was still driving pregnant mothers and mothers with small children to the evacuation centers, while the husband said, "Just go, we will stay and watch our belongings." But then, we have a provision there because we will prioritize senior citizens or the elderly, pregnant women, persons with disabilities, and children. And if the inhabitants refuse, the government will not be liable in case of any injury or death. So we told them, we went around and told them, you have to evacuate. But again, the sun was out the day before, and people thought that we were crazy to tell them to evacuate.
We all have to decide in our lives whether we want to remain as a victim or we want to be a victor. And I refuse to be a victim. I call myself as a survivor. And to the people of Tacloban, change must start within ourselves before we can start changing the whole city. Hindi pwede habang buhay didepende tayo sa relief goods. We have to find work. And the only way that we can find work is for these businesses and shops and stores will start to reopen. If we are able to address these two issues, I think we are on our way to rebuilding this city.